So to get this process started, we have to get this headlight assembly out. There are 4 different attachments that we're going to have to remove. One is a Phillips right here. Then inside, or I should say right here, you can see that there's 2, and these are 10 millimeter, but they also are a hex, Allen, star bit, whatever you want to call it. But I'm just going to use a 10 millimeter because I have that. Then there's a 3rd spot. That one is down here, and you've got to go in about right here, and there I've got it connected. Now, some people talk about being concerned about their paint and putting some tape, painter's tape, similar to what I just did on a garage door. I'm going to be kind of careful with it, and I don't think I'm going to have to worry about it because this isn't that big, and I'll just be going in there and carefully doing it. But if that's a concern, there's a little flexibility. You can put some tape on there to protect it, and then you're good to go. Once you remove these 1, 2, 3, 4, then there's another clip in here, and that clip has to be, you've got to give it a little tug to get that out, and you'll get to see us do that in a bit. But first, let's remove the 4 little screws in here to get it loosened up. This particular one, this one is just a plastic screw, and it has the expanding piece on the other side right there. So you had to kind of squeeze it to get it to actually function. And I'm just going to put it back in there to keep it close here so we don't lose it. And then there's a little sensor down here. We'll have to make sure that that sensor gets reattached. I'm just going to set on the tray. That sensor will have to get reattached up in front, so we don't want that to go too far. Both bolts are the same size, same length, so that's not a concern. And now we'll get to that final one. Yeah, it looks like it's loose, but it did not come out because it's in there. And now the housing should be pretty much ready to go. There's a little pin on this side that keeps it in line on this side, so this is the side we're going to have to give it a little bit of a tug. And you just heard the bolt fall down. There we go. And it fell right out the bottom. And that bolt is the same size as the other 2, so I'm just going to put all 3 of them together. Here's that little clip was that would have given us a little problem. And then I'm going to just move you to get a better angle here. Give you a bird's eye view. So this is where the magic needs to happen. We've got our secondary bulb. I'm just going to take that out so we can work on this a little easier. Just set that off to the side, carefully not touching the bulbs. And then I should be able to, let's unplug, because we're going to have this collar that has to come off. This has to come up and off. To unplug. There we go. So there is our bulb. This is the retaining collar clip, whatever you want to call it. And there is our bulb. Now, I'm going to go and I'm going to put gloves on because I don't want to be touching anything. So we're going to go and stop the video here and go get some gloves on. Now, the bulbs I'm going to be using are LED. These are from SEALIGHT. and it has very highly reviewed on Amazon. And I'm going to just carefully pull one out, I'm hoping. There's the full. Oh, they even have white gloves in there for you. Look at that. So that is our bulb, and it will go in, and it has to sit like so. So the blade of it is vertical. That the LEDs are pointing to the sides, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. There's our little attachment. Now, one of the things they recommend is to plug it in and make sure before reassembling everything that it functions and functions with the vehicle. So we're just going to do that. We're going to plug it in. I'm going to see if I can find a spot that it'll just kind of lay here for a second. And you can see that. Good. Let's go turn on the headlights and see what happens. Because they say that there can be a few different things that can happen. One is it lights up. A second is that they can flash if the wiring and things aren't bright. So you can see my running light and that light are on. They look bright. We're going to call that good to go. Now you see on the back of this bulb compared to, let me pull out the regular one. You can see that there's a difference from the standpoint of the back area. This is basically just a protection shield. There's really no heat sink cooling capability. This one has different little fins on it to help take some of that heat from the LED and dissipate that heat so that you will have a longer life LED. If you are getting too much heat in there, you're going to have problems. So that's why they have this. It'll make it a lot easier. So we're just going to set this bulb, the old bulb, in my box and set that off to the side. Okay, so now the next thing we do is we take off this locking ring on the little bulb here. And we'll just set the bulb to the side because we have to get this mounted in here. This must be that one on the top. And then we take the little retainer ring that we had from the old light, and we can get that into place. And it catches on the three screws there. We get that into place, so we're good. And we bring the LED in, and we should be able to put that in, and it should go in and turn like that. This wire has to be straight up or straight down. Let me just show you this. If it's straight up, we have our proper angles. So the light goes in, and there we are. So now we are to the point of reconnecting our bulbs. And we'll put on the second bulb. And granted, I could have put an LED on that side also and made it a little bit nicer. Bugs from that nasty trip. And now we're pretty much good to go. Let's see. I want to show you that there's that little pin I was talking about. That's a lineup pin on that side. And then on this side, there's another pin that will line up, and then there's the snap. So I'm just going to set it into place. I'm not snapping it in because I want to go and just double check that we have light. Yes, we have an LED light in there that is malfunctioning. And I will turn it to high beam and see if that does anything. Let's see. There's high beam. There's low beam. High beam. Low beam. Interesting that it has a little bit of delay when it goes to low beam. That might be something that we'll have to see if the other side is going to be the same way. We'll put it back together. It's easy enough to pop out if for some reason it's not. So this will line up, and this is flexible, so I'm good there. That pin is in, the lining pin, and that one is in. Let's see. We're not there yet. Okay, now we're snapped in. Let's back this up a little bit. Oh, I could go shut the light off, I suppose. No, I need it on. Now let's see how difficult this is going to be to get that. It is caught and working. And I'm not putting any pushing pressure on this. I'm just basically letting the tool spin it, and then it will spin and eventually start to catch. And this is not anything to snug down super hard by any means. Once it's there, then we are good. And then finally, we have our little plastic screw right here. Just holds this rubber gasket in. And you might be able to see on the video, where is it? Just off screen. I do have the instructions out just to keep as a reminder. It's always a good thing to know which configuration you're doing and have the bulb instructions. So you know that you're going to do it and do it correctly. Yeah, I know, reading instructions, that's tough for a lot of us. It takes too much time. Okay, now we're going to turn this around and show you that spot once again, and you'll get to see what I was referring to. Okay, so that's low beam. So you're now seeing, I'm trying to give you a picture here. So instead of it being the hard edges, I mean, you can see it, there's a bright right in here, but we have more kind of coming down a little bit farther. We still have kind of a bright, and that's low beam. Now let's go to high beam. Oops. There's high beam. So now the high beam came up a little bit, came up quite a bit more through here, came up a little bit, similar to what the other one did, but I can see a little bit more light coming this direction. Not a ton. The hot spot is still up above, that it's been moved up, but we've kind of got a little bit more light in this vicinity compared to, I'm going to just, oh, you can kind of see it. Let's turn this a little bit. You can kind of see, that's high beam over there on the other side, of course, with the regular halogen light that's in there. And you're not getting quite as diffused, or I should say, the hot spot is a little bit larger on the LED. We're going to swap out the other bulb, and then we'll see how this works. This could be something really good. I want to show you, though. Watch the other headlight. When it comes to shifting down, the up works really quite, there we go. The up is good. And then we have this little lag. So I'm going to have to check into that and find out why that's going on there. And then I can report back in the video here in just a second. So here's an addendum to our video. I found out what was the problem is that we needed to put something, a little CANbus in, which is a resistance the resistance piece into the line, because the truck was registering that there was a blown bulb because there wasn't enough resistance to tell the truck something was there. So you need to put a little resistance device, they call that a CANbus, C-A-N-B-U-S, and I've got to add one to this configuration. So I'm just going to do this in real time here, and you guys can kind of follow along. Now the headlights did work. I had low beam, I had high beam, but there was a little bit of a weird anomaly going on with them. And sometimes when I was flipping it and practicing, or you kind of playing with it, sometimes the low beam would stay low beam. Sometimes one of them would go to high beam and the other one wouldn't. It was just kind of weird. So first off the Phillips, now there's 3 10mm bolts that have come out. One here. And this has a little temperature sensor there, so we want to make sure that sticks around, because the first time when I did the replacement of the bulb, I forgot to put it back on, so I had to come out and redo it. And the third spot is down below here, and you got to kind of hold the bumper down just a little bit so you're not going to scratch the bumper. And there we are. They're loose. Now we've got to pop the light fixture out, and there it went. Oh, and I think that bolt stayed with me. Yay! Otherwise, that falls and it can be a problem. So to do the bulb, there's a little cap on the back of the bulb that you would take that cap off and then pull the old bulb out and put it together. And that's in the earlier part of this video, which you guys have seen. We need to put that CANbus in, so we're going to unplug the current. Unplug the current one, or the current piece, and then add this extra resistance to the line. So that way it will register, and I won't get the lights on the dash saying that there's a blown bulb. And then I can just put that back, put the wire connection in right here. There's a little spot for it. And now there's the lineup pins. There's a lineup pin up here, and there's a lineup pin down here. Let's see, got to get that into place. And then we get those pins lined up. There we go, that one's lined up. And that one's lined up, and we snap the light in. The light snapped in. And now we can put the bolts in. Now I'm just going to use the drill to spin. I'm really not putting any pressure on it. I want the threads to catch. And if I start putting pressure on it, I can make them do weird things. So I'm just literally using this to spin. And then once the threads catch, then I can finish it up. And I will put the third one in. There we are. And I'll put it. Okay, those two are tight. Now, we'll pop that trim piece in. And wouldn't you know, I did the exact same thing this time as I did last time. And then we'll put our final piece back together. Okay, now I'm going to get my tools out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut everything down, and then we're going to close the garage door, and we're going to test it on the garage door and see how it works. All right, let's give it a test here. First, we're going to turn the headlights on. And if you remember from the first video or the first part, there was a delay when we turned it on. Boom, we're right there. Okay, that's low beam. Now, low beam, high beam. Low beam, high beam. Neat. No delay, and you can even see on the other side, there's no weird thing, no delay at all. So yes, that solved the problem. So Excellent. I'm excited, and that's how it happens, and that's how you put it all together. So links will be in the description below for the CANbus and for the headlights here that are looking pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited. We're going to take it out tonight and give it a try. This is John Young. Thanks for watching.
For more tips and how-to videos, go to weekendhandyman.com.